good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Flatout Racing Network's coverage of the 64th season of the Rolling Thunder Gaming Talladega Challenge Series, as we are here for our second trip to Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway, race number 4, around the midway portion of this regular season. It's been all Tim Nofsker, Grant Wesley here in the first 3 races. They've won all 3 of the events so far. They are in a deadlock for that points lead, but now other drivers, they'd like to enter into that arena and duke it out as well. They'd love to be in the conversation for those extra bonus points for getting the regular season championship, and they themselves would love to be able to capture a checkered flag, locking themselves into this season's playoffs. I'm Seth Cole, alongside of Michael Norman. We've also got tonight making his FRN booth debut, Kyle Matthews. Kyle, welcome, and hey, you're an old school NASCAR fan, so these Aero 88 cars got to be right up your alley here tonight.
Oh, they definitely are, and I've seen some of the paint schemes that some of these guys are running tonight, and I really like them. So I can tell this is going to be a fun race to call for me.
Michael, we've seen some incredible racing here already this season, a couple of photo finishes. Yes, I'll take responsibility for the commentator curse last week and the race ending under caution, but nonetheless, though, what do we do here tonight if you're the rest of these drivers? There's going to be 39 drivers against 2 in Grant Wesley and Tim Nofsker. How do we keep these guys away from the front of the field?
I mean, is that even possible, Seth?
Probably
that's
not.
The question. I mean, again, like you said, these drivers, you can't keep them in the back. I mean, we've seen Grant Wesley start from dead last, and within, 5-6 laps, he's already up at the front. And the same way with Tim Nofsker, they have their strategy to, sometimes we've seen Tim hang out at the back before and then come to the front at the end. So it's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen and who's going to be the one to break that curse in a way, loosely using that term, of the 88 and the 088.
It's a lot of drivers that haven't captured that illustrious checkered flag so far this season, but they've been very consistent.
It wasn't Arnold Schwarzenegger that said it this time.
No, well, we haven't gotten the command, I don't think.
Yes, we did.
Was that the command? Okay, I didn't know if that was the calling the drivers to their cars or not.
Oh, that might have been.
But yeah, it was drivers to your cars.
Yeah, so I don't think
I'm placing my bets to say it's going to be Arnold Schwarzenegger.
You think it's Arnold again this week?
Drivers, start your engine.
Well, even if it's not Arnold, you've already done it, so... But we got 41 drivers getting ready to take the green flag here tonight.
Wow, that was
Again,
a
another
that just came out of you.
Full field. Did it?
We got a lot of drivers. Hey.
I mean, we're in Bentonville, Arkansas, so, just blend in with the natives, I guess. But
right.
We got 41 drivers going to be taking the green here tonight. And, you look down the list of drivers so far this season that have been very consistent, even though they may not have yet locked themselves into this playoff field via a win. Brian Schilling, a former champion. Denny Carroll's been good. You didn't get your Arnold. Jeremy Jeffries, another former champion.
Sounds like it was some nerd girl with glasses.
So I don't know who would fit that bill. What was it? Mia Thermopolis from Princess Diaries before she became Anne Hathaway.
I've never seen it.
Yeah, oh, you haven't? I haven't either, but I kind of know the lore a little bit. All right, let's take a look at this 41 car.
I don't know if I should be worried about that or not.
You shouldn't. It's Julie Andrews in there, and she's an incredible actress. All right, your 41 driver starting lineup here tonight is going to see Cy Jones get the pole position. Ulysses Sandoval, who's been on a streak of really good runs as of late, up in the top 10 in points, will share the front row. Nate Balser and Craig Hagley, they're going to be back in row 2. Row 3 finds Billy Elliser and Mike Mangialardi. Donnie Garrett shares row 4 with Jeremy Jeffries. John Godfrey will complete the top 10 with Jeffrey Elliott. Jason Scheck and Glenn Harris, they're back in row 6. Josh Metallic and Greg Palmer, row 7. Row 8 is where you find Pat McCarsky and 2-time winner on the season, the defending champion of the series, Tim Nofsker. Row 9 will be Bob Dixon and Bob Seminara, and then completing the top 20, Grant Wesley, the only other driver that's won this season, and Mark Paglia. Denny Carroll's been having a really good start to the year. He starts out in 21st position with Bernie Mobbs alongside him in row 11. Row 12, Dante Ricky and Joe DeSpirito. Rodney Sullins will be back in row 13 with Coach Kelly Causey. Row 14, Robert Breedlove and Terry Bombard. And completing your top 30 will be Doug Hulick and Brian Schilling. Row 16 finds Graham McDonald and Bobby Farrell. Jessica Schulten, Chuck McClure back in row 17. Row 18, Greg Lovell, Jeff Cravello. Row 19, Richard Martin, Ron Hagelin. And completing the top 40, Dunn Laprade, Doug Woolley. 41st position will go to Brian Rawson. So our two previous winners on the season, they're starting mid-pack. We'll see how quickly they're going to be able to work up to the front. But let's see who's going to get that fourth checkered flag here of Season 64. We'll also be talking in a little bit about the Bracket Challenge. It begins here tonight as well. The one-on-one tournament begins this evening in race number 4 as Cy Jones, that Sunoco Chevrolet, going to bring us down through the tri-oval. Flagman has the green flag in hand, and we're ready to go racing here at Burt Screwdrivers Raceway.
Wake me up before you go.
Nice to see Joe DeSpirito and Bob Seminare in the field here this week. They were conspicuously absent last week, and subsequently they are way down in the point standings now. They were both not in all that great of positioning points-wise heading into last week's race, and of course missing out. They probably got provisionals, but missing out, they're going to have to find quite a bit of a streak here to work their way up in the point standings, or maybe win, get up into the top 20 in the points. And Kyle, it's going to be interesting to get your observations on this, because out of the two racetracks that they alternate at, this racetrack in the past, really, if that middle line is strong, but if a third lane forms, that middle line starts to fall back. These guys have figured something out here this season. 2 weeks ago, we had maybe one of the raciest events we've ever had at this venue, where all three lanes are able to work. So,
hey, is there a possible caution out?
No, we're still green.
Well, looking back in the back of the field, Jess, something might have happened to Jessica Shelton.
Oh yeah, she's way back here.
Definitely, I think she said something about getting hit from behind by somebody.
Yeah, there is no yellow.
Didn't see any damage to her car from that angle, so.
I didn't see any skid marks either. Let's see when they come back here through 1 and 2 if we can maybe eagle eye any skid marks of a potential half spin or something.
Looks like that outside line is starting to form there. Ulysses Sandoval got off to a bit of a slow start on that first lap. It looks like he might lead this second lap here.
Getting some good help from Craig Hagley in the 82, and he indeed will lead that lap in the Pontiac. See that orange car up in that third lane, that's Pat McCarskey. Lonely feeling when you're all by yourself at a super speedway. He's fading back after the random qualifying draw put him 15th.
Could be by design, too. We see a lot of drivers like to do that at these super speedways, kind of run in the back a little bit, kind of feel everything out, see how it's going to go, and then work your way back up there.
I mean, gotta be frustrating on the initial start for Jessica Shelton, but honestly, if we end up having a caution, she's probably the safest place right now. Everything's gonna happen way up ahead of her.
Yeah. Did we go back and look and see if possibly what
We didn't.
happened?
I was going to wait till we got a little bit sorted out here at the front of the field before we went back and took a look. I think we now might be able to do just that, so we'll quickly see if we could jump back and see what happened to the 9 car on the initial start. This was before they even took the green
Oh,
through
wow.
the tri-oval. That's, is that Greg Lovell, I believe, behind her? And they kind of
Looks like
all
they
checked
just-
up. Yeah.
Yeah, big checkup right there. The Texaco Haviland car got into her there, and luckily for her, she didn't really hit anything. Just lost a lot of time right now. Like you said, caution comes out, she'll be fine.
Currently on the back straightaway, the leaders making their way through the tri-oval, so about half a lap down right now. Granted as well, if she ends up getting caught by these leaders and put a lap down, caution comes out. There are 2 recipients of the lucky dog each caution, so she'd be able to get the free pass in that situation as well. More than likely, if they reel her in, she can mesh back in with this group and get back up to speed. But we're seeing the power of this middle line, and nobody in the early going here is willing to venture up to that third line, which is a far cry from what we saw early in the last time we were here 2 weeks ago. A lot of drivers really wanted to push their way forward to the front of the field, and they utilized that third line to do so. But we've seen this before, Michael, in the past, that we start to get to this halfway point of the regular season, and drivers rein in the aggression a little bit more. They're willing to ride and keep their cars preserved for the second half of this race. And as mentioned, the bracket challenge starts here tonight as well, so that could also play a factor where these guys don't want to tear up the equipment, keep themselves in the running for that bracket championship.
Absolutely, but you also got to remember too, these are racers out there, so while the bracket challenge is an important thing for them, also trying to stay in contention and race, try to get up to the lead is also on their minds as well.
Jessica Shelton, actually the defending bracket challenge champion from one season ago. The way that the bracket is put together, I believe that it's almost like a bracket tournament style, like you would see in sports. The top 30 in the standings end up getting put into a randomized bracket tournament bracket that lasts up to potentially the next to last race of the season. If we end up having an overtime final, we end up going to the final race of the season. And right now, if you're keeping track, we'll read off who is facing off against who here this evening. Your battles are as so. Tim Nofsker is taking on Jason Scheck. Jeffrey Elliott is versing Josh Metallic. Ulysses Sandoval against Ron Hagelin. Kelly Causey is taking on Brian Rawson. Denny Carroll is facing off against Cy Jones, who started on the pole tonight. Mike Mangialardi against Greg Palmer. Jeremy Jeffries is taking on Keith Bynum. Glenn Harris is going up against John Godfrey. Grant Wesley taking on Bernie Mobbs. Doug Hulick is facing off against Bob Dixon. Chuck McClure is taking Rodney Sullins on. Donnie Garrett against Jessica Shelton. Brian Schilling taking on Robert Breedlove. Terry Bombard against Billy Elliser. Mark Paglia against Richard Martin. And Craig Hagley against Dunn LaPrade. Highest finisher of all those particular one-on-one battles. They'll move on to round number 2 next week at Talladega. The drivers that are eliminated, they will then move down to the losers bracket with still an opportunity to be able to battle in the final at the end of the season.
Looks like they're single file till about, I'd say 10th position or so. That's where the first side-by-side battle seems to be. And it looks like a third line is starting to form here way in the back there. The SDP car trying to start a third lane, looks like.
That'd be Richard Martin in that Richard Petty throwback. Take the opportunity here to say hello
to that car.
And we have 2 Petty cars as well. I think they're actually both side by side back there. I think the Chevrolet of Richard Martin and the Dodge of Bob Dixon were side by side. There's the red STP machine of Dixon, and kitty corner to him, maybe in his blind spot, if you will, is the blue STP car of Richard Martin.
It was the blue car that looked like was trying to get a third line going there, but he quickly get back in line on that middle groove.
Trying to look and see about Nofsker and Grant Wesley here. There's Grant. And Tim is... Where is the 088? Did he fade back? There he is. He's on that inside line, actually. Yeah, behind Josh Metallic. Around 25th. So neither one have yet been able to get up there and... Well, Grant just cracked into the top 10. A little surprising there, Michael, that we haven't seen those two get up any higher into the top 5 here, 10 laps in, because normally you look at those guys, and you mentioned it, like, what, 5 to 7 laps, and they're usually already up there, unless they're relying on execution on green flag pit stops to gain them that track position.
Which is always possible.
I just noticed they're not. It's not going to be too long before they get to the 9 of Jessica Shelton. You can see her just up ahead there on the outside.
So Jess will fall a lap down here momentarily, but again, she'll be able to mesh in with this group, get back up to speed, and she's the only driver 1 lap down, so next caution, she would be back on the lead lap. I want to say hello to everybody in our YouTube chat here tonight. Al Sullen saying, all right, 38, don't mess up my Bluebell Butter Crunch ice cream by bending a fender. Got Grant Wesley, he was in our chat earlier. Same for Ulysses Sandoval. Got JT Mayhew there. JT, hope you're doing well. Said he missed the pre-race, asking who's in the booth with us. Kyle Matthews making his FRN booth debut here tonight. And oh my gosh, Kyle, you're not going to believe this, or maybe you will.
Let me guess. But okay, go ahead. I think I know what it is. But
JT says you sound like somebody. I'll give you 3 guesses, 1 out of suffice as to who you sound like.
Would it be a 3-time Cup champion who's also a Hall of Famer?
It very well might be. JT, this has been a running gag for us ever since we've known Kyle, so jump on the bandwagon.
No. Hey, listen, stop it. This is actually Tony Stewart.
This is
talking about. This is actually Tony Stewart.
Yeah.
I don't know how we managed to get him to commentate with us, but we did.
All right, Tony, hard-hitting question. What happened to the SRX series? I miss going to those events.
Oh, I do too. I actually met Tony Stewart at an SRX race 2023 at Eldora.
That's right. You went to Eldora. I went to Stafford.
And I told him that people think that I sound like him, and the first thing he said to me was, "Oh, I'm sorry to hear that."
It's okay. Just flaunt your 3 championship trophies.
Yes.
We've also got ATV Dude just popped up in our chat. Appreciate everybody tuning into our coverage here tonight at Burt Screwdriver's Raceway. Things getting a little interesting there, just outside the top 5. Jeffrey Elliott jumped down to the bottom, along with Donnie Garrett. I'm not necessarily certain if they're jumping down there to make moves. I mean, we're about a little over halfway through.
They're jumping down there to make conclusions.
Oh, okay. But I was wondering if this is like a preemptive in preparing for green flag pit stops, but that's not going to be for another 5 or 6 laps.
Had a challenge for the lead there. The 82 went to the outside. Nobody went with him, so he's going to fall back on the outside line there. It's been pretty easy for Ulysses Sandoval so far. He's led all but the first lap so far.
And the last time we were here, 2 weeks ago, Ulysses Sandoval almost picked up his first career victory. Lost out in a photo finish to Grant Wesley. Might be looking for a little redemption here in this one. Mike Mangialardi having a great run here tonight in that Napa machine. And Kyle, I mean, obviously not historically accurate, but did you know there were so many manufacturers for the Aero 88 cars? We've got Pontiacs, we've got Toyotas, we've got Dodges, we've got Chevrolets. I think if I recall correctly, I think there was even a Cadillac back there. So, yeah.
Doesn't surprise me. It was, back when these cars actually raced, they had about 5 or 6 manufacturers at that time, so that's not a real big surprise to see multiple ones here.
There's that middle line now working for Craig Hagley as he's going to get out in the lead. Big push there from Jeremy Jeffries. I meant to actually this past week ask Jeremy if this is supposed to be a Hailie Deegan throwback. I think it is, but I'm not 100% certain. We saw him debut this paint scheme last week at Talladega. So used to seeing him usually in the Goldfish car or the Oreo car, but looks like he's running with the Monster Energy sponsored machine, the black and green here for the duration.
I'm not used to hearing the words Hailie Deegan and throwback used in the same sentence.
Right?
I mean, it's how recent, she's still racing, for God's sake. She just started her career.
Well, Kyle, what do you think so far? What's your first impression so far as you see them now? Look at them go down the inside, the 1 and the 88.
That's been pretty interesting. It looked like it was going to, be pretty calm here at the start of the race, and it has. But now these guys, I don't know if they just got bored and decided to go racing, but
you haven't. Oh no, you haven't seen racing yet.
You haven't lived. Oh, we got
pit stops.
Yep, Jeffrey Elliott and Nate
that's early.
Balser.
We're only on lap 16.
Yeah, this is very early.
Wow, look at this guy slowly going back with the camera angles.
Yeah, I don't know
how long can they go on?
Between 19 to 20 laps, I think.
19 to 20 is the fuel window. Okay.
Yeah.
Ron
on
Hagelin
lap
as
number
well.
17 right now, so they're not too far off here. About a lap or two early.
Just wait till you see how they come down pit road.
Yeah, have you ever heard the term hot pitting?
Every time we make fun of Josh Mercurio for not being able to do it.
I was wondering where that came from.
So the art of hot pitting, we'll explain it to you and anybody that's watching that doesn't know. If you come down pit road at less than 100 miles per hour, get onto the brakes. I think we got Bob Dixon coming to pit road actually here this lap. Got some others as well, Denny Carroll and Greg Lovell and Robert Breedlove. If you come down pit road and hit that commitment line there at 100 miles per hour or less, as long as you are on the brakes and let off at the speed limit of 55 miles per hour, it will not give you a black flag.
Huh.
And that allows you to be able to gain a little bit of extra track position once everything cycles around. Now,
there's your stuff lighting up there.
Yep.
Might be
so
seeing
I
some more
think we
people
got
on
some
pit
people
road this
coming
time.
in. But
wait till you see them not be able to do it in a big pack.
Yeah, that's the thing. The hot pitting in a big pack is tough. That's why I think we saw about 3 cars come onto pit road earlier, and then a group of about 4 or 5. Let's see if any of our leaders. Yep, here we go. Sandoval from third.
A bunch of them.
Oh, here we go.
Field.
We got a whole gaggle. Look at Novsker slicing his way up the middle. But Karski is going to get Novsker.
Oh, he 360'd it. He kept going.
He kept going, but McCarskey is spinning in front of the field. Hewlett's going to get turned around there as well.
Could that bring out a caution?
It cannot, actually.
No,
if it's on pit road, it does not bring out the yellow unless it comes back up onto the racing surface. So all those drivers that are going to be slow on their pit stop, whether it's that entry or having to wait up for the cars to finish spinning, they're going to lose a lot of ground.
As soon as this next round of cars come down pit lane, I've got to go use the commentator's room.
The good old commentator's room. I think we're
gonna
going to probably see the leaders coming in this time.
Yep, I'm gonna come back with some Andy Fox late model series fries. Oh, someone's okay.
That was I think Brian Rawson got a little squirrely back there. Oh, Seminara.
I think he made the commitment line though.
He got out in the grass, but if he load it down enough, he should be okay.
That was a much better entry this lap than the last one for sure.
Oh, the 4 overshot his pit stop.
Yep, we just caught that there. Yep, backing up.
That's some valuable time lost.
Now, I believe the race leader is somewhere up in this group.
Gaggle of cars.
Somewhere here, I think.
It might be...
The 13, Jason Scheck? Yes. Oh, and I think he's out of... Is he out of fuel? He's slowing.
Oh, yeah.
Went one lap too much. Now, I'm not 100% certain, but when I saw the group previously come into pit road, I think Scheck was trying to come down pit lane and kind of got boxed out and elected to go around the other time.
Oh, he's clutching. He's still running, at least I think. I still hear engine.
I believe that's a Lake Speed throwback, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, it is. From the mid-90s. Harry Melling.
Yeah, see, this is good, guys, because as I said, Kyle's old school. He knows these liveries, so if I make a mistake, he'll be all ready to correct me on what the livery's a throwback to.
It's Tony Stewart, gosh darn it.
Kyle, Matthew Stewart.
There you go. All right, I am now going to use the commentator's room.
Okay. So we'll check and see if anybody ends up getting hit with a speeding penalty. So far, I'm not seeing any indication of anybody being under the radar gun, but Grant Wesley now out to the front. Remember I mentioned this, Kyle? I said Grant might be just hanging back, waiting for pit road to be able to gain the track position. Grant is maybe one of the most aggressive drivers in getting onto pit road and maximizing the time spent on pit lane to be able to pick up positions. And case in point, now he's out in the clean air.
Yeah, he did that to perfection because, we weren't even talking about him at the start of the race up until, except for that little bit that you mentioned about him just, holding back. And, yep, here he is out in front.
Got Jeremy Jeffries behind him. You got the Pepsi Challenger in the 3rd position, Greg Palmer. Dante Ricky right now in the 4th spot. Mike Mangialardi in 5th with Donnie Garrett and Josh Metallic, this lead group. They've got 7 cars in this pack, and they're trying to scamper away from this group of 3 with Seminara, Bernie Mobbs, and Glenn Harris, and they're about to be swallowed up from 11th place on back. So I don't think it's going to take very long for us to have one big giant pack again.
No, if everybody stays single file like that, they'll easily catch the leaders, and we'll be back to having a big pack once again here.
Saw Jason Scheck. He was able to make it to pit road. Was able to take service, but he is going to lose a lap as a result of nearly running out of fuel there. Cy Jones and Bobby Farrell, they're back here, and they're probably going to get lapped pretty soon. Right now we've got scoring showing 38 drivers on the lead lap. Jason Scheck and Jessica Shelton down 1 lap apiece. Pat McCarskey, who we saw have that brake lock up and spun into the passenger side door of Tim Nosker, he is 2 laps down. Let's actually check in on the 2-time winner, Nosker, because it didn't really look like he ended up getting any damage with the contact, and he's still up here in this group, 15th position. So that could have been a lot worse, just the little 360 and kept on going.
Nice looking Kale Yarborough throwback he's got going there.
Oh, is that who it is? Okay.
Like I said, he just did a simple spin, so I'm pretty sure that it would be okay.
And it was on the side of the car as well, with the car hitting him on the brakes. So it clearly didn't give him any door damage, though I've said it before and I'll continue to say it. The damage model for the Aero 88 car is very deceiving because sometimes you can't really tell just how hard a hit a driver is taken and whether they're going to have aero damage for the rest of the race until the cars get up to speed on a restart.
I take it they run moderate damage instead
of
realistic? Okay.
Now, there were a couple of drivers that we saw come to pit road earlier than most of the big packs, and a few of them have benefited in gaining track position. Greg Lovell there in the Texaco Haviland machine and Denny Carroll behind him, they came to pit road about 2 laps prior than everybody else, and having a less congested pit road and having a much cleaner entry without having to really worry about everybody else's braking zones, it actually worked out to their benefit.
Hey, remember the one time when the 88, the 088, and then the 880 were all in the top 3?
I do. There was a lot of 8s and 0s.
And we're back to one big pack once again.
Bob Seminara makes the move to the bottom with help from Bernie Mobbs and Glenn Harris. Trying to get something going on that inside line, but they're all by themselves right now. They need more numbers.
They're approaching a lap car up ahead.
I believe 2 cars, actually. Yeah, it's Farrell and Cy Jones. Doug Hewlick about 10 seconds up ahead of that by himself.
That's the difference between hot pitting and not hot pitting, in a way. Dante Ricky up here. Remember when we used to call him Reese?
I do remember that. And I don't think it was until I actually raced against him in bare bones and heard them call his name Ricky that I actually was like, oh, I've been saying it wrong this whole time.
By the way, as we know, Grant Wesley is leading here. He got that lead because he actually beat the 1 car into pit road.
As I said, probably one of the most aggressive drivers on pit road entry, and it works out in his benefit, it seems, every single time. Actually, was it last week? No, it was 2 weeks ago at this venue where Grant Wesley, remember, Michael, when Grant stayed out that extra lap of caution and ran out of fuel under pacing, barely had enough to get back to his pit stall, and then what he do? He came back and won the race. It doesn't look like he's going with that type of a playbook here tonight.
Yep.
But with Grant out in front, I have to mention it. Again, commentator's curse might come into play, and the Grant Wesley fan club can get after me if it ends up being a problem later on in this race. But we've had 3 races so far this season. Race 1, Tim Nofsker at Talladega. Race 2, Grant Wesley here at Burt Screwdriver's Raceway. Last week, Talladega, Tim Nofsker. Do we go back and forth?
I'm sensing a pattern here.
Yeah, I don't know. He's out in front here. Does Grant double down at Burt Screwdriver's Raceway here? I think that'd have to be the first time that's ever happened in RTG.
Probably.
There you see Cy Jones and Bobby Farrell getting put a lap down, so now the conversation for the free pass is going to start getting interesting. Jessica Shulton is in this lead group. Well, actually, no.
She's toward the... Just a little bit off of it.
Just a little
off. Not
off.
too far from it, though.
So she's got to hope that these two up on that third lane fall towards the back here, so that way she can get by at least one of them into a free pass position. Jason Scheck is a long ways back.
Well, she's at the tail end of the pack, so at least she's with the pack, so passing them won't be that difficult.
Take a look here at this group of drivers. Former champion Chuck McClure back here with Doug Woolley, Brian Rawson, and Jeff Crivello. I didn't see any of these drivers necessarily involved in any of the shenanigans that took place on pit road entry, but while we're watching the cycle of pit stops, things actually do happen from commitment line to commitment line on the pit lane, and there might have been some contact, there might have been some boxing into a stall for some of these drivers, and right now, scoring has got this pack of 4 running over 11 seconds behind the lead group. So our list of those that are hoping for a caution are increasing rapidly.
Oh, yeah.
Richard Martin also back here, drafting with the lap machine of Pat McCarsky. And there is Jason Scheck, who's a lap down. Some others here as well. Graham McDonald, brand new livery there. The Best Western sponsorship. That's
Western
DW?
Auto. Western Auto right there. Yeah, so Darrell Waltrip throwback from the early to mid 90s there.
He said Best Western. Wow.
Did I say Best Western?
Yes, you did.
Wow. Okay. Yep. Revoke my commercial license.
Would later become Western Auto Parts of America.
So you guys, we just brought Tony Stewart up here so he could tell us about the paint schemes.
We just yeah.
So I can age myself.
No, you know what the worst part is? You're younger than I am, and you know these schemes, and I don't have a clue.
Just by a few months.
So that's not an indication of age. That's an indication of knowledge.
No, that's an indication of you're just old.
I'm old, but I should know this stuff if I'm old.
My useless knowledge of NASCAR history is finally coming to fruition here.
Well, we're under this run here, closing in pretty soon to when these drivers will have to start considering coming back to pit road for a second round of green flag pit stops. We'll go back to our YouTube chat. Got JT saying, welcome to the booth, Kyle. You're doing great so far. He's also giving us an update here as well and asking about him. Says he's okay, starting medication in the near future, hoping that it will help. Appreciate us for asking. We appreciate you tuning in, JT. Wish we could see you out on the racetrack there. I always seem to love the fact that you were one of those drivers that would purposely try to qualify at the back and work your way up to the front in these type of races. It was always kind of fun to watch for that 338 car.
Seth knows all about that.
I do. Well, I know about being at the back. I don't know necessarily about the working my way to the front bit.
Well, when I used to race, I used to try that all the time, except it really wasn't on purpose. I just
What do you mean used to race? Aren't you getting back to racing here very soon?
Quite possibly, yeah.
Tony Stewart, he's going to drive the 20 car.
We also have Matt McIntyre in our chat. And Matt, you can let Dylan Young know that the nickname of Marinara for Bob Seminara, that's already been used. So, yeah.
Well, I have a thought.
That's scary, but go ahead.
It is, because I don't want to get us in trouble though. Because FRN and everything, Kyle has his own thing he does with our buddy Dylan Young, and I want to say that we can ask him about it, but I don't know if that'll get us in trouble or not.
What about
We the Coasters?
Go ahead. Why not?
Yeah, Kyle. Go ahead and tell everybody about your and Dylan's YouTube channel.
But if the big one happens while you're talking about roller coasters, you're taking that as a commentator's curse.
Well, Dylan Young and I, him and I are really good friends. We love, going to amusement parks and theme parks and riding roller coasters, and we just vlog about our days when we're there and cover anything that's going on within the parks. And if like a new ride opens up, or if a ride closed, or if there's a special event going on, we just cover all that stuff. So yeah, we have a lot of fun doing it. I haven't had a chance to make a video in quite a while for a couple of different reasons I'm not going to talk about right now, but looking forward to doing it again, and check us out if that sounds interesting to you. Like I said, we are We the Coasters.
Yeah, we'll be back here next week at Talladega, but then the following week, RTG will be off as the duels are being run that night in the in the NASCAR Cup Series.
And it's not like we would be around.
And I was going to say, and we're not going to be here anyway, so that works out perfectly. You talk about that We the Coasters. Michael and I might be making an appearance in a couple of future We the Coasters episodes.
You guys have been in some of our videos.
That is true.
But we're about to make our triumphant return.
If you wanna come to Universal Orlando and hear me scream like a girl on Velocicoaster, feel free.
I would love to hear you screaming as you're going around while I'm watching.
Somebody coming down pit road here.
That's Jeffrey Elliott. Remember, he was one of those early drivers to pit road on the first cycle of pit stops. I think he came down lap 16, so this is about 18 laps into this run. So this is around the time that he would have to pit.
Yeah. And again, like I said, I would love to hear Seth screaming while I'm safely on the ground watching.
I mean, they have that observation deck there right next to the coasters, so, if I can remember what section that is, then I'll yell, "Hi, Michael!" If I have the mental capacity for it. I might be completely flustered with what's going on to even remember.
Now, aside from...
It's going to be like you on Tron with that serious expression looking
I want to go back on Tron so bad. I want to give that a redemption run.
couple more cars coming to pit road. Aside from that first round of green flag stops where we saw a couple cars that have some issues on pit road, it's been a relatively clean race. Are we surprised by that, or were we expecting more carnage?
No, honestly, not surprised by it because, as I alluded to, yeah, we ended last week's race under yellow, but for the most part, it has been about the long green flag runs this season.
Seth, look at our chat. Sandra Sullivan said, Seth, it ain't old. I just tell everybody I've been young for a long time.
Al, I'm going to use that. I am absolutely going to use that.
I mean, I stopped counting my age after 29. So.
Is that because you didn't want to or because you couldn't? Because I couldn't.
Yes.
I can only count to 4. Some more drivers coming in.
And then James said, I had good luck with qualifying in the back. At that time, Bumby and I almost won on a fuel mileage.
I remember that. I do remember that race. That was maybe one of the most exciting races that we called because, we'll see drivers save fuel under pacing or something to end a race. We don't normally get to see those kind of fuel strategy races at a super speedway. The most recent one we had, you'd have to go all the way back to the season opener of season 63 when Ryan Schilling
my gosh,
was barely able to make it.
Oh, he made it.
That thing was on fumes, though.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Lord. Okay. I saw everybody come down. Here we go.
Donnie Garrett, Mangialardi,
smaller.
Brad. Oh, Paglia! I think that right rear clipped the grass. I think that's why he just spun out right there.
And he might have given the 74 LaPrade a little bit of damage there because we know how it is when you get hit when you're already getting your pit service. So let's hope that doesn't affect him very much. As another round, here comes the rest of the cars.
Those are drivers that were in that pack near the rear of the field.
Notice that we've had, much smaller groups coming to pit road this time around.
Yeah, you think maybe the bigger packs spooked them a little bit, and they're like, let's not have 13, 14 cars in a pack. Let's lessen it a little bit here. Grant's coming in. Oh, got
one coming into. Oh boy,
nearly
Grant.
A dozen. That is hot pitting right there, Kyle. Although he overshot into the grass, Grant. No.
That's always a risk to try that.
Oh no.
Well, he got in the grass. He might have woke up in time. He didn't really lose much momentum.
He didn't get off the gas or the brake until I think he was on the grass, so he might be okay.
He could be okay. It wasn't pretty, but it might be effective. Kelly Causey, they're showing as the lead. There he is. Kelly in the Prestone colors here tonight. Buckshot, as he's called in the community.
Got a nice Earnhardt throwback behind him.
Is that a Buckshot Jones scheme right there, Kyle?
I don't believe so. He's got his number, but I do recognize the scheme. I just can't remember where.
I don't remember Buckshot Jones much before him driving for Richard Petty.
Yeah, he drove a Crisco car. Kelly Causey did here, and I looked it up, and it was a Buckshot scheme, but I don't know about the Prestone colors.
Hey, let's keep an eye. I know we're on piss ups, but I kind of want to see what's going to happen with Grant.
Okay.
You should have the telemetry, right?
Yep, I do. And so far, so good. I'm not seeing any black flag issued to the 88. Looking through here. Now, sometimes I don't end up getting the notification that someone's gotten a black flag. Sometimes we kind of get surprised.
He does.
He does.
Oh,
slowing
no.
Down. Wow.
Yep.
That's a tough break right there. You talk about the hot pitting.
Oh, Nofsker's coming back in, too.
As aggressive as he was coming down pit road,
well,
that is always a risk you're taking.
Is that to answer your question? I guess the one that are going to break the curse is themselves.
Is pit road. Bernie Mob's on pit road too. The question earlier tonight, what do they have to do to keep the 88 and the 088 out of victory lane? Make them make pit stops.
Nothing.
They got in their own head.
But you think about it too. The criteria for making it into the playoffs is finish in the top 12 in overall standings at regular season's end, or have a victory and be inside the top 20 in points if you aren't able to stay inside of the top 12. So, they're pretty much locked. We got more. Is that Kelly Causey coming back in? Yes, it is. Wow, there's a lot of drivers that got black flags apparently here. And now my scoring is showing Dante Ricky in the 84 received a black flag penalty. But, you know, you look at the situation for Grant Wesley and Tim Nofsker, they're both pretty much locked into the playoffs now. They just have to stay in the top 20 in points. It gives you a little bit more freedom to maybe be aggressive on a pit stop like that, try and see if it works out. If it doesn't work out, well, yeah, it's not the finish you're looking for, but you know that you're still going to go playoff racing at the end of the regular season regardless.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing I would be worried about, though, is, number one, that regular season championships. You see the 84 getting ready to serve his penalty. The other thing, too, we mentioned the bracket challenge starts here tonight. And surprising as it may seem, we've talked with drivers in the past, and a lot of them put a lot more emphasis in keeping track of where their opponent in the bracket challenge is during the course of the night than they do in overall winning the race.
Hey, sometimes you prioritize one over the other.
Brian Schilling, first time that he'll be out in front tonight.
Is he going to run out of gas?
I don't think so. Actually, while you're talking about that, I think, what was the lap that Jeffrey Elliott came down pit road? That was 36, I think?
Yes, 36.
All right, so let's say like 36 to lap 40 when these drivers pit. They would still be short on fuel. They're still about, 7 to 10 laps short on fuel. They're going to have to make one more pit stop before this is over.
And that could very well be the deciding factor in this race. We just saw how many guys got a black flag under that last set of green flag pit stops. So if this thing goes green the rest of the way, the pressure's really going to be on here.
Mm-hmm.
And look at how all that has changed the face of the front of the field as well. We've got some that have been up here all night, but Brian Schilling, Josh Metallic, first time we've really mentioned them this evening. Dunn LaPrade, up now battling for the 5th position with Robert Breedlove. So we've got some new faces up here who have been able to utilize the execution on pit road and the misfortune on pit road of others to be able to gain a lot of track position. If I'm not mistaken, yeah, Dunn LaPrade started this race from the 39th position, and now he's up here in the top 5. Took him a while to get here, but he's here now.
It's the beauty of super speedway racing. It doesn't really matter where you start. I mean, really any race for that matter, it doesn't really matter where you start, but especially at a super speedway.
Well, I beg to differ. There are tracks where there's been barely any passing opportunities, like short tracks where you kind of want to start at the front, but, I digress.
We've also seen here at the Talladega Challenge Series, we've seen drivers that start up front be able to control the race for a majority of it. Brian Schilling, we mentioned that there's a bunch of drivers at the top of the evening that have been very consistent to start off this season. They just haven't been able to get a checkered flag. Brian is the highest of those, as so far he's had 3 top 5 finishes in the first 3 races. And looking for another one here, 3rd in overall standings. And despite the fact that Nofsker has 2 wins and Grant has 1, Brian's only 14 points out of the points lead coming in tonight, with both the 88 and the 088 getting the black flag penalty. And the number of cars we got up in this lead pack, even if Brian doesn't win, if he stays up in this lead group and there's no advancement of position for Wesley or Nofsker, Brian could be the new points leader heading into next week.
Consistency is always seems to be what wins championships, or at least what should, win championships. And if you're consistent like that, like you said, he has 3 top 5s to start the season. You keep running like that, you're going to get a win eventually.
An update on both Grant Wesley and Tim Nofsker. Grant last time by was scored in 28th. Nofsker scored in 30th. They're in a pack of 4 right now, along with Kelly Causey and Dante Ricky, who also had to serve pass-through penalties under that last round of green flag pit stops. That group currently scored 33 seconds behind the leaders. More importantly, that's only about 15 seconds ahead of the race leaders. So, depending on circumstances, they could find themselves being put a lap down to this much bigger pack.
We have a good number of cars a lap down. That's something I was not expecting to see in a super speedway race, but looking at the lap counter here, we're closing in on 20 laps to go. This race has really flown by.
Yeah, really.
That's what happens when you have the green flag racing.
I have a mouthful of this 5-gallon bucket of animal crackers.
Oh, you're eating those animal crackers now?
Mm-hmm.
PETA will be knocking on your door momentarily.
Who?
PETA.
Oh.
A couple of other drivers I noticed that are working their way up here that we haven't talked about tonight. How about that Dale Sr. throwback? The Black Rifle Coffee, number 38 of Rodney Sullins, now up to the 8th position. He was kind of just hanging out mid-pack most of the first run. We didn't really see him gain a ton of track position after the first round of green flag pit stops, but now he's up here inside of the top 10.
Well, so they're saying commentators curse. They said Matt is saying Seth Y, commentator curse.
Did we commentator curse Grant?
We might have.
Oh, man, we're going to have the whole Grant Wesley fan club coming after us now. And they are large in number as well, so we're dead.
Hey, it's true for Fox/NBC and FRN, says James. I agree with all of your comments. It's all Seth's fault. Everything that involves commentator curse, it's all Seth.
Oh, it happened on every broadcast imaginable. It happened on ESPN Speed World back in the day, CBS, Fox, ABC, I mean, you name it.
But every
time they talk about a driver having a good run that needs one, they usually run into problems, and it always sucks to see.
So what you're telling me is, I was going to talk about Glenn Harris, what you're telling me is don't talk about him.
Pretty much.
Okay. Glenn, you're doing good. He's 10th. Anyway.
Okay. All right. So now he's going to randomly blow up. And
no,
then...
I didn't talk about him. I talked to him.
There's not.
But you said that he's doing well.
Oh, darn it. There's always a loophole. Right now, we've got 15 drivers up in this lead pack. Back to Josh Metallic.
I'll tell you who does need a caution, though, is the rest of the field.
Yeah, right? You mentioned, Kyle, about the number of drivers we have a lap down. Currently, scoring shows us 31 drivers on the lead lap. We've got 8 drivers that are 1 lap down. Jason Scheck 2 laps down, and Pat McCarskey is 4 laps down. Right now, if we were to get a yellow flag, the 2 drivers in the free pass positions would be Richard Martin and Bernie Mobbs. And let's see what that lucky dog battle looks like right now, and who is in that vicinity.
So far, attrition hasn't been the issue. Just staying on the lead lap has.
Actually, we didn't have to pan back very far. Bernie, I think, is actually up in this group. Yes, he is.
So is the 43.
So is the 43. Yep, so they're in this lead group, so they're in good shape. Let's see if anybody... Yeah, Terry Bombard, right behind them, is a lap down. So he's looking to get around the 31 car. And I believe that's it. Yeah, the next car would be Graham McDonald, and I think he's back in this pack. Yep, he's leading this group. Doug Kulik in this pack as well. And then Jessica Shelton, who had the issue before the green flag even flew. There she is, back in this pack with McClure and Farrell and Paglia. Farrell is also a lap down, and then Cy Jones is the other driver 1 lap down. There you see him at the tail end of this group. How about the fact that this driver here, Joe DeSpirito, haven't mentioned his name much tonight. Right now in the 27th position, started this race from 24th.
Love the paint scheme on that car. A bit of a, not quite a Days of Thunder throwback, but you got the sponsorship right there.
It's like an invert, isn't it?
Yeah, it's similar to what William Byron ran at Darlington a few years ago.
Oh, the 24. By the way, Milt Surratt says all Seth has to say is, quote, wow, we haven't had any cautions, unquote, and bam.
You know, actually, with Milt in our chat here, I've been waiting for Milt to chime into our YouTube chat because it was interesting. We basically had a thing last year where Milt Surratt actually called correctly 2 of our race winners, and so I ended up having the Who You Got Surratt moniker. I was talking with our broadcast colleague Jessica Shelton a couple of weeks ago, and she said, actually, what we should do now and have the moniker be, we need some Milt.
Oh, Lord.
So I don't know, which one do you guys like better? We need some Milt or Who You Got Surratt? I like them both, to be honest.
Yeah,
Who You Got Surratt? I think I'll vote for more of the Who You Got Surratt. But also James says Glenn is another sound alike. I guess Glenn Harris sounds like Richard Childress.
Sounds like Richard Childress. Okay, so man, that's asking me to go back in my audio memory bank because usually whenever I would race in bare bones, Glenn and I always would race around each other, and I'm trying to remember if I can pull in him sounding like Richard Childress. I'm not sure. I'm going to have to go back and look at some of my tweets. Whoa, someone spun on the back straightaway there, guys.
That's all it...
I'm surprised that you got a memory bank.
John Godfrey.
Gilbert, but he's below the racing surface, so it shouldn't bring on a yellow.
No yellow. You saw the skid marks off of turn 2.
I wonder if maybe he got clipped or if he hit the apron, maybe.
I'm not sure. We're getting about 5 laps away from green flag pit stop, so let's quickly see if we can... Oh, we got
a pit stop.
Yep, we got a couple coming in. Both the Richard Petty cars, Martin and Schilling. We'll cover all that in a minute. Let's go back and see if we can find out what happened to John Godfrey.
Martin and Schilling? Don't you mean Martin and Dixon?
Martin and Dixon, you right. See if we can find out what happens here. Did they just check up? Oh, yeah, they did. Cy Jones looks like he lifted.
Oh, boy, that's
that was
pretty
a hard
hit there.
The inside wall.
John was able to get it turned around, but again, you see that the skid marks there pretty much begin below the yellow line, so anything down here below the yellow line deemed off the racing surface does not bring out a caution.
Welcome, Ken, to the chat.
Caution's out, guys!
We do have a caution.
Caution is out.
Oh, let's look around. Come on, let's see who it is.
There was smoke over in 1 and 2. They're racing back here, and they were actually 3 wide racing back.
Well, Seth, sounds like you did it again.
Well, it depends on who's involved.
Well, it's not the 8. I still see the 8.
We haven't had a caution yet.
Dixon, I think, was on the lead lap still. I think Demar was a lap down.
They just crossed the line, so...
Yeah, but I think Dixon completed his pit stop and got out still on the lead lap. I think Dixon's going to cycle around to the lead with the timing of this yellow.
Imagine.
Well, fuel will no longer be a concern.
Look at your scoring. Who's to say the first 2 lap down are?
The first 2 lap down cars, Terry Bombard, Bernie Mobbs. Ron Hagelin, I believe, was on pit road just moments ago, and he's been hit with a black flag for speeding. Jeffrey Elliott is out of the race. So let's try and see if we can figure out who it was that was involved in this yellow. Maybe it was the 56, I'm not sure.
Oh, let's see.
Oh!
Oh, wow.
Wow!
Oh, yeah.
Coming off of pit road.
Who was it that behind him?
Nate Balser in the 79. Did Jeffrey miss a shift there, maybe?
It's possible.
Hits the inside wall there. And as you saw, they went up above that yellow line, so that was deemed on the racing surface. Let's look again. And I'm going to keep an eye on the gearbox as well.
There you go, TV2.
All right, so up to second gear. Oh, and down to first. Yep.
Wow.
He downshifted accidentally. Yep. That's a caution that a lot of drivers wanted. A lot that were on the lead lap that needed to catch up to the lead group. Obviously, a couple of drivers going to get the free pass here.
Might be able to save the 88. Unless he's a lap down.
No, actually, to your point. Both Tim Nofsker and
41
Grant
having an
Wesley.
issue there on exit.
Yep.
It's a little slippery on exit.
It is. In the low gear, it definitely is. But no, Nofsker and Wesley managed to stay on the lead lap. This is going to bring Joe DeSpirito, Dante Ricky, Brian Rawson, Kelly Causey, all those drivers. They're all going to be back up here in this lead group, and there's still plenty of time to work with as well. We're going to be getting the restart probably with about 8-9 laps to go.
Man, this guy in our chat, this 8675309-858 guy, who invited him?
I don't know.
Tommy Two-Tone?
Wasn't there a thing where if you actually dialed that, it would actually play the commercial or something like that? I don't know, but I think that was a thing back in the day when that.
No. What happens is you dial it and then it's just Carrot Top on the other line.
Wait, Carrot? I thought Carrot Top was what was that? AT&T.
Oh, call collect. That's right.
I think that was an actual phone number back in the day, and people kept calling it because of that song, and then they just disconnected the number not long after. I don't know if the person living there was a woman named Jenny or not, but
was it Jenny from the block?
Yeah. Who is this Tommy Two-Tone DeYoung?
Terry Bombard and Bernie Mobbs coming down here the second lap of caution. They will be the free pass cars when we go back racing. And, well, hold on. I thought that Bob Dixon was going to cycle around as the leader. Scoring is showing who ahead of him? Billy Elliser?
Nobody.
No, he is the leader.
He is the leader. Okay.
Everyone else is going to be way wrong.
Yep, scoring for some reason had the 26 scored ahead of him. He might have stayed out there that extra lap for the bonus point. But yeah, the timing of that yellow, huge for Bob Dixon, who was literally just ahead of the leaders when he left pit road and that caution flew and was able to get back to the stripe before they did.
Now imagine, let's see if they double up here. Can the 143 stay out in front?
Might have some drivers taking the wave around here. The 111, the 13.
We might question mark. There's people in front of the leader.
Well, yes, but they could. Well, they might come to pit road this next lap too.
You know, your face might come to pit road.
It could, but I doubt it would.
Wow, it took this whole race for Michael.
57 laps it took him.
I'm impressed.
I think Hagelin, Scheck,
I did it for the lulz.
Balser, and Martin will probably be taking the wave around. You see the 31 and the 10 pulling up there to the outside. They'll be going around getting their laps back when the lights go out.
Seth, when this race is over, are you going to finally join me on your other job at the Borgor?
You don't pay me enough. Apparently Mario doesn't get paid enough either.
That couldn't have been any better timing.
Just a little update. Ron Hagelin, they're still showing the black flag on the 111. I don't know if he has to serve that under green or if they'll clear that on the restart. We'll keep you updated on that. Jeffrey Elliott has retired out of the race, so he'll be the only driver at this point that will not reach the conclusion. When Bernie Mobbs and Terry Bombard go around, we'll have 32 drivers on the lead lap, and this restart will be with less than 10 laps to go. We'll probably be going green on lap 59, which means we're only going to have pretty much about 2 laps to work with, where if the caution doesn't come out, we head into the point of no return, lap 62, where the next flag's going to end the race.
Too bad that it's lap 59 and not 69.
Yeah, we're not going down that road.
So why is Matt's name in our chat green?
Because he is one of our moderators.
Oh, but so am I, but I'm blue.
Double D, double die.
But why?
MCA.
Thank you.
By the way, D Young asking the very pertinent question, but did Jenny call Annie and was she okay?
Well, Annie, are you okay? Are you okay, Annie?
Yeah, not sure how to respond to that one.
Lights out atop the pace car, the Wiley Coat Tribute pace car. Bob Dixon going to lead us to green. Craig Hagley there in the 82 as well. I don't know if Craig might have also had the same scenario Bob did, where he might have been on the tail end of the lead lap when that caution came out, but he's gained a ton of track position as a result. Brian Schilling, who was the leader, coming back to the caution, will restart in third. Rodney Sullins in fourth. Jeremy Jeffries will be fifth, and it's Greg Palmer, Robert Breedlove, Ulysses Sandoval, Mike Mangialardi, and Greg Lovell. If you're keeping an eye out for our previous winners on the season, Grant Wesley is going to restart in 19th. Tim Knopfler is going to start back in the 27th position. Going to get this restart with 8 laps to go. You think that's enough time with these guys? You better believe it is.
I'm gonna wait and see.
All right, what do you think? We've ended up running over 50 laps of green flag. We're getting ready for a less than 10 lap shootout. You think we're turning up the intensity level here?
What's the old saying? Cautions breed cautions?
I give it, but there's no green white checker, so let's hope that that's not the case. But I give it 5 laps before I see one of the 88s up here. Oh, look at them already bumper. They're anticipating this restart here.
Oh boy, who you got? Surratt's going with the 38 of Rodney Sullins. Let's see if that's going to be the case. Green flag in the air.
Already a third lane forming in the back.
Carroll, Rawson, Ricky back there formulating that third groove.
Right. Bob's got to get clear of the outside lane. Then I would kind of suggest drifting up because, you know, the outside gets the run. But do you think you're going to have to wait and see here? Watch.
He thought about it.
He thought about it, but didn't quite get it. He's got to get clear. And he's got to stay. Ooh, look at him. Sorry. There's some intense action going on here.
The sounds of Michael Norman. Ooh,
Don't close your eyes. It'll be out of context.
Third line forming a little further up here towards the front. Chuck McClure's jumped up there. Paglia, Wesley, Doug Woolley, Brian Rawson as well.
I told you it would be 5 laps before we see that one of the 88s back up here.
Yep.
Now let's see who's gonna cut off that momentum and jump high.
To quote the legendary wrestling announcer Jim Ross, business is about to pick up.
And it's about to be a slobber knocker.
Craig Hagley. Someone's gonna stomp a mold hole on somebody. Sorry, I had to jump on the bandwagon there.
Absolutely.
Craig Hagley, he's going to get the run off the corner. Now look.
Man.
Wow, they just moved to the outside, and that's going to be it right there. Now we'll see who's...
Oh, look at the bumps. Look at the chain bumps. Gracious, the bumpers were not even, and Greg Palmer nearly went around.
Keep an eye on the back. This could potentially be racing to a caution flag because they're 3 wide here. Kyle, you said 2 wide they chose to race. Look at them now.
Oh, yeah.
And where is the momentum? We got a car coming to pit road back there. That's Jason Scheck.
You shouldn't have went back there because we could have missed something here. Mr. in charge of the camera
I had to
angles
check
guy.
for the spam warning.
Oh, he's the 143 is fighting with everything he's got on that inside lane.
Also keep an eye on that second car. Sorry to cut you off. I just want to point out, keep an eye on that second car in that third line, Brian Rawson. Yeah, a little side to side. With this close racing, that could be dangerous.
Middle lane could be dying off here. People keep jumping in and out. The momentum's going to get it, but I think Craig's right where he needs to be in that middle lane. For now.
Chuck McClure leading that third line with Mark Paglia in tow. McClure coming into this one 7th in points, so a win would lock him into the playoffs.
And we still got 5 laps to go.
Well, we have 5 laps to go, but look at the lap we're coming to. That point of no return lap 62. So next flag pretty much ends the race.
Look at the inside lane. Look at how much it can close up, but it just loses all momentum on the straightaways. If the 143 can get clear of the 82, he needs to jump up to the outside.
And how impressive this middle line holding court with the third lane to their outside. Normally, that third line kills the momentum of the middle groove, but not the case here tonight. This is exactly what we saw 2 weeks ago.
And they're coming up on a slower car. I think that spam car that came down pit road, I think they're about to catch him too.
Yeah, the question is now where are they going to stay? The 38's trying.
Greg Palmer's now up in that outside line. McClure checked down underneath him. Whoa! Contact between Paglia and Palmer through the trioval.
143's got the run. This is going to be an interesting right here.
Brian Schilling and Jeremy Jeffries are doing a great job pushing Bob Dixon, keeping that inside line in the conversation.
And now he's clear. Now he is clear. The question will be now is, will he go up or will he stay right there?
I feel like he's going to be a bottom feeder. And I was almost wrong. He thought about it.
No, I don't think he thought. I think that's just the usual push-up off the inside, yeah.
I mean, those two on the bottom are working well together. I mean, do you really want to leave your drafting partner hanging like that?
At this point right now, you're stuck with who you're with. Until another line forms and it's 3 wide and you have places to go, you're stuck behind these 2 front. It's just going to be which lane's going to push the most.
Sandoval now going up to the third lane with Greg Lovell. I thought that third lane was dying out, but now they're gaining numbers. Breedlove going to go up there as well. Coming to 3 to go. Oh, Sandoval into the wall. They've crossed the line. We get an entire lap to race back, and that's a massive one. They're still wrecking.
Oh, he's got it. Bob's got to stay to the inside. Look at the 10. Get out of the way.
We're racing back to the proverbial checkers. Ooh, Dixon left the door open.
I don't think they're done yet.
Contact.
Oh, he's got to stay. He's got to stay. That's a good block, but watch the outside.
Schilling trying to get back up. We're almost 4 wide going into 3.
Oh Lord, I am off my chair. I am Pat McAfee right now.
Can Bob Dixon hang on to pick up the win? Jeremy Jeffries behind him.
He's got to stay there. He's got to
stay to the bottom. That's what he's got to do.
Stay to the bottom, Bob.
Here comes Schilling with a run. Jeffries goes up top. Oh, this is gonna be close. Photo finish to the stripe. Dixon's gonna get it.
Ooh.
Go back to that last caution! The call to come to pit road! Stayed on the tail end of the lead lap, restarted the leader! That was the difference maker for Dixon getting the win!
Everything just fell into his lap, and he did a great job of holding everything off there.
And there's just nothing but black smoke
just
on the back
smoke. I mean, we had at least a half dozen drivers flipping over in turn 1. Balser damage. There's Dunn LaPrade. He's all crunched up. Doug Woolley's on pit road. And all these drivers, they may be all torn up, but they're going to stay out there on the track and just salvage whatever finish they can.
Well, this is going to be a fun replay to watch.
You think? That should have played when the big one happened.
Right?
Yeah.
They're going to come around and take the white flag this time. We'll go back. We'll look at replays afterwards. We'll stay here to be able to see Dixon crossing the line. Even going back to that move, he was able to just barely block Brian Schilling from getting to his inside. Schilling had his left side tires down below the yellow. And the 143, it was risky. He could have easily gotten spun off the nose of Brian.
Yeah, but, I mean, you got to do what you got to do. I mean, the form may not appreciate it, but, I mean, you got to do what you got to do.
You're racing for the win. I mean, come
Exactly.
on. You're going to...
Exactly. 1 lap to go. It's like the Indy 500 from 2011, it seemed like.
Mr. Factoids, Bob Dixon, taking the white flag, 1 more circuit around.
And that Richard Petty STP Dodge is going to be going to victory lane.
Bob came into this race 18th in points, so he will be in the top 20 in the standings, at least with a victory. That puts him into the playoffs. He would have to remain consistent inside the top 20 for what would be, I'm going to have to go back and look. I'm not sure if I can actually be able to get the information. We'll actually ask him here post-race, but this might be potentially the first career win in the series overall for Dixon, and first time that he'll be making an appearance in the playoffs. There may have been a time before we came on to broadcast these races that Dixon had gone to victory lane, but I'm fairly certain this is the first time, at least on Flatout Racing Network, we've seen him take a checkered flag here, and it might be the first win of his career. Racing back to
Bob
that
Dixon has
caution.
never won a race before?
Not in this series, I don't believe. At least not since we started broadcasting. He may have previously. And we'll find out from him in the post-race wind-down, where we'll be talking with him and the rest of the podium finishers, which will be comprised of Jeremy Jeffries and Rodney Sullins. Brian Schilling's going to finish in 4th. Robert Breedlove will get 5th. And then it shows the rest of the top 10 is Mike Mangialardi. Great run for him tonight. Greg Palmer, Bob Seminara, Craig Hagley, Grant Wesley able to rebound back for a top 10. Well, how about that finish? Unfortunately, it ended under caution, but that checkered flag being that caution, man, that made it exciting. Bob Dixon gonna come down through the tri-oval, and he's going to pick up the checkered flag here at Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway. We've never seen Bob Dixon pick up a win. We're going to see, yep, we are. I was going to say, we're going to see burnouts.
Is that Dunn LaPrade that just finished smoking?
I believe
Yes.
so, yeah. That red and yellow car back there.
There were a couple of cars that actually were receiving black flags for dropping debris, and I'm assuming we're constantly having those black flags cleared. Brian Rawson and Dunn LaPrade limping those wounded race cars across the line to at least finish this race.
Did a couple of burnouts, and that was it for him.
That was it. Let's go back. Let's take a look at what led us to finishing this race under yellow. It happened up at the front of the field, and it swallowed up probably more than half of the race cars here. I'm trying to remember who it exactly started with. Oh, it was Ulysses. basically, when a wreck is this big, I just say, find your favorite driver and see if they got through. Looks like bumper grab.
Yep. And then everyone just flips.
And then there was the follow-up wreck with Harris and Sandoval.
Ulysses almost just grabbed a gear and went.
The way everybody was all over each other, that was inevitable, honestly.
There's a lot of movement going on there.
If we had but like maybe 3 to 4 laps, I feel like we would have ended under green.
Take a look at this. Oh gosh, LaPrade I think was up in the catch fence. You got Billy,
cars literally on top of each other.
I think that was Billy Ellis on top of Doug Woolley. LaPrade barrel rolled when he caught the grass
and still finished the race.
I think the 10's actually up on top of the 26 right there. Gracious.
I hate to see a mellow yellow paint scheme get torn up.
I know.
But
that mellow yellow car of Elliser went for a ride. Look at this.
Almost cleared the catch fence.
It almost cleared out our camera.
And then just come tumbling down the banking.
All right, Michael, just for you, we'll go to TV2.
Yay.
Let's see what it shows us. We'll focus it on the 74 of Dunn LaPrade.
he had absolutely nowhere to go.
And at that point in time, too, you know, the caution's out. You've crossed the line. You know you have a nearly full lap to race back. Nobody's lifting.
Absolutely not.
It's floor it and hope that the path opens for you.
I think the 74 kind of helped flip the 10 back over.
I'm trying to see, was there anybody behind this wreck that may have gotten through it?
What about the 711? I think, or Jess.
Jess did get clipped late. I did see that she got clipped late. Let me look at our finishing results here, see if anybody... Oh, actually, maybe the 43 of Richard Martin? Let's find out. Let's see if he got through it. Martin had just gotten back on the lead lap.
Yeah, well...
Look at this.
So
oh,
far.
Look out. More cars coming down. Let's go to the top.
Nice job.
Was 31st when they took the white, finished 16th.
Godfrey made it through too, even though he kind of just slid for the most part, but...
We'll go on board. Yeah, he actually took the grass. He was on board with him. Little contact there with the 92.
Oh boy.
Oh. Didn't miss it by much there.
Might have broken the drive shaft yanking that wheel to the left too that quickly.
And he might have broken his underwear in that point too.
How does one break your... Okay, you're going to have to explain that one to me later on.
You don't want the incredibly graphic details of that.
Okay.
No, you do not.
We'll save that for another time.
Well, I think it's time for to hear from our top three.
I think so. As we look here first at the finishing results, though. And Grant Wesley is going to take the points lead over, according to what I'm seeing right now, as far as scoring is concerned. Finishing in 10th position. Brian Schilling may move to second in points, and Nofsker was caught up in that wreck, finishing in 20th. But again, both Wesley and Nofsker are locked into the playoffs through their victories. And it's kind of, I think for the most part, I think the top maybe 11 or 12 actually crossed the line there. Everybody else was a who's who of trying to race back to the caution, all caught up in that big wreck.
Yeah, absolutely.
There you see the rest of the finishing results here from this one. Pagley, the last driver to finish on the lead lap. Doug Woolley and Jeffrey Elliott did not reach the conclusion.
Only 2 DNFs out of all that. That's pretty impressive. That was a huge wreck. You would have thought that more people would have trouble going after that.
Well, I think a lot of the drivers involved in that wreck, those cars are bound for the scrap heap, but they at least had enough power in the engine to get across the start-finish line. And people are probably wondering, too, I mean, why, if your car is that badly damaged, do you finish out the race? I mean, you look down at Dunn LaPrade and Brian Rawson smoking crossing the line. Well, they finished 27th and 29th. That one extra position there could be a difference maker into whether they're going to be in the playoffs or not via points. So every position, every point counts. Also, this is the first night of that bracket challenge, and yeah, I think that a lot of brackets with that big one might have gotten broken. It'll be interesting to see who survived to move on to next week.
Yeah, how many brackets were looking good until that wreck?
Exactly.
Like,
Yep. All right. Well, we should pull up here, Rodney.
Absolutely.
I'm dying to hear what he's got to say about finishing podium.
Let's get a hold of our third place finisher.
User was moved to your
Rodney,
channel.
it's Kyle, Michael, and Seth up here in the FRM booth. You got a copy?
I sure do, fellas. How y'all doing?
I'll tell you what, this was a race that, I don't know, it was almost kind of like an action movie, because beginning of this race, long green flag run, we saw execution on pit road have to be used twice, then we get that caution, get a less than 10 lap shootout, and all heck breaks loose in your rearview mirror. You had a shot at this one here tonight, but I want to talk about your journey up through the field as well, because we really didn't see you up there inside of the top 10 until we got the completion of that second round of green flag pit stops.
Yeah, started 20-something, which is probably pretty close to my best start of the season. Just kind of rode around, I followed Dante for a little bit, and then I got there and I moved around a little bit and worked my way up, not, being too aggressive, just racing with some guys there. Got some good pit stops in. The first one I had to slow a little bit on pit road, but was able to stay in the draft. And then that last pit stop, because I kept going about a lap longer than many people. So I was able to take half a can there at the end. Me, Hagley, I believe there was 2 or 3 of us took half a can, and that put us up towards the front. I was running 8th, I think, when that caution came out anyway. But, taking the half can put me up there, and I think 4th for the restart.
Yeah, there's usually a portion of the season when a driver is struggling, and luck has just not seemed to be on your side here, these first 3 races, where a driver gets it turned around. Is this the starting point? Is this the turnaround point here for the 38 car down heading into the second half of this regular season?
Well, I hope so. The first race, I had some bad luck, and then had to qualify my way in, and then had some bad luck in the second race. And last week, I just literally ran trying not to get wrecked. I didn't want to be too aggressive because I didn't want to go back to qualifying my way in again. So I just literally wanted to try to safely get myself in the top 35, top 30, really. So I wouldn't have to go through that mess, because I'm a pretty decent qualifier, but it still makes you nervous. And you never know. Anything can happen. You could break a gear leaving pit road. But tonight was different. Tonight I felt like I could actually get out there and race. I was still a little conservative, but I was racing tonight a little bit more, because I felt pretty confident that I wouldn't fall out of the top 35, even if I had a fairly bad race.
Racing tonight a little bit more, and I want to touch on something here. I want to talk about this venue, because you had a huge part into this racetrack, having it added to the schedule, alternating between this and Talladega. The moniker for this racetrack, ever since we've ended up broadcasting races here, has been the middle line is good, but that third line forms and that middle line falls back. These last 2 races that we have had here at this racetrack, we have been treated to double wide and 3 wide racing in the closing stages. It's like the drivers have figured out something here to be able to keep that middle line momentum even when that third line is here. We saw 3 wide, several rows deep. What's changed?
I don't know. It's been interesting how this the personality of this track seems to have changed a little bit, like you're talking about. I know there at the end, the 3 wide, when the third lane start coming, me and a couple of guys moved up in front of the third lane, which probably kind of killed it. And then we went back down to the middle, and then back up to the third lane. So I think you can try to keep them at bay doing that. You know, it's the guys that make that move too late when they've got a full head of speed that causes wrecks or causes big checkups and problems. So I thought we did a pretty good job of trying to control the middle and outside line. I think Greg got hung out there a little bit that last time, but was able to get back down to the middle. I was racing Chuck for the first round of the bracket series, and I've had pretty rough bracket series. I think last year, bad season last year, and this last season, and this was starting off kind of the same. So I was racing Chuck, who was not having a really good night, and then guess who I see in my mirror coming up on the outside at the end of the race when it matters, and that's that Chuck McClure.
It always happens that way with these bracket battles.
I know. So I told Greg and him, I was like, I got to beat Chuck. You know, I love Chuck. I think he's a great competitor. He's a hell of a racer, and I beat him tonight in the bracket series. And to me, beating Chuck in anything on the super speedway, that's doing something. So I'm really happy with that. But that's the only reason I really moved up so much is because I was trying to keep the 17 behind me, and it worked. You know, it was a good night. I'm happy.
I told these guys that you drivers seem to put just as much emphasis on that bracket battle as you do on the overall win each and every week. But Rodney, I mean, early on in this season, getting that good finish, you're going to move up 8 spots in the standings. We'll hopefully see you continue to ascend up through the points, maybe get that victory as soon as next week at Talladega. Congrats on the podium tonight. Before I let you go, floor is yours for thank you sponsors and shout-outs.
Well, thank you, Seth. Obviously, I want to thank you guys, Michael, and Kyle. I'm looking forward to listening to you. I don't know if I've ever heard you on a broadcast, so I'm looking forward to it because Seth and Michael do a great job with Flatout Racing Network. Thank those guys. Bones Prime here at Rolling Thunder, the owners, Josh and Tim, the admins here on Thursday nights who welcomed me in with open arms to help them and be really a third wheel. I want to thank Donnie Garrett and Ultimate Garage Floors, Bob and Tom Dixon for sponsoring the broadcast. My Burnt Screwdrivers teammates. Sorry, Craig Hagley. I hated to kind of bail on you there at the end, but again, I was trying to fight that 17. Chuck, again, great racing with you, man. Black Rifle Coffee, Habana Brisa. Hey, Dad. Love you. I hope you enjoyed tonight. It was a fun race. And before I go, thoughts and everything with Ken Roberts, the driver of the 55 Mountain Dew Buick. He's having a rough time today. He was going to be here tonight. Things took a turn. So I'm thinking about you, buddy. This podium finish is for you, my friend. Get well soon, dude. Need you back here.
That's Rodney Sullins. His first podium finish of the season here tonight at Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway, and hopefully this is a trend that we'll see heading on down the remainder of this regular season. Congratulations on the great run, Rodney. Best of luck next week.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you.
User was moved out of
All
your
right, let's see if we get a hold of the second place finisher here tonight. I finally get to ask him the question that's been burning in my mind for the last 3 weeks. Let's get a hold of Jeremy Jeffries.
User was moved to your
Jeremy,
channel.
Kyle, Michael, and Seth up here in the FRN booth. You got us?
I do. Welcome, Kyle.
Hi.
Well, Jeremy, I'll ask you because in the closing stages of this race, it was looking like pretty much the field was deadlocked. We had the 3 lanes all working, but none could seem to get an advantage. You're the third car on that inside line, completely boxed in. Were you in any way expecting that a door could open for you to have a shot there to get to the outside, maybe be able to snipe this victory here in the closing stages?
No, I'd pretty much resigned myself to the fact that I was stuck where I was at, and I was just pushing as hard as I could to try to maybe make the bottom line go somewhere and at least give us an opportunity. I know 3 lanes, you want to be in that bottom or the top lane. The middle lane was a no-go, so even if I did get cleared, I probably wouldn't have went into that middle lane the way the field was until, the caution came out.
We've seen some photo finishes here this season. Another one here tonight, albeit you guys didn't take the checkered flag with that photo finish, but the proverbial checkered flag coming to that race-ending caution. There always seems to be at these super speedways that small mitigating factor that makes the difference between who crosses first, who crosses second. Was there something that stood out to you? What little more could you have done to have your fender be the first one across the stripe?
I think I needed Rodney to go with me instead of trying to win. Dang him. But yeah, no, that's I mean, I didn't expect to win. I thought Bob had it wrapped up, but I was going to try anyway.
Obviously, as well, you know, drivers, we're getting closer towards the midway portion of this regular season. Everybody's making preparations to try to lock themselves into the playoffs. You came into tonight up there inside of the top 10 in the point standings. Currently shows you're going to be leaving this evening 4th in points. Only 13 points out of that points lead as well. A lot of different drivers have different agendas in making it into the playoffs. Where do you stand in terms of the emphasis on wins over consistency?
Well, if you win, it's pretty consistent as far as getting points. If you can keep winning, so obviously the win is the most important thing, and I'd like to win every one of them. But if I don't have the opportunity to, I just want to stay in the top 10 every week, and I think I've managed to do that so far. And yeah, consistency goes a long way, but those wins, man, they really help out in the postseason.
They certainly do. Now, there is a question I've been wanting to ask you for the last couple of weeks. I get the opportunity to do so now. Now, I'm used to seeing you run a Monster Energy sponsored car in some of the other weekly series here, but we've grown accustomed to seeing you with the Goldfish car, the Oreo car. You brought Monster over here to this season in the Talladega Challenge series. Is this a Hailie Deegan scheme? Because that's what kind of it seemed like in my mind, or is this to another Monster car?
It's kind of just an homage to a couple of different things. There was some influence between Deegan, some other sports, or not sports cars, but the rally cars, and you know, I just wanted to do something a little different than the standard black. You know, I did the claw marks sideways along the door, which I really like. So yes and no.
Well, it is a slick-looking scheme, and it nets you a 2nd place here this evening. Congratulations on that great run. Still right up there in the conversation for the regular season championship. Granted, there's quite a number of races still left to go before the playoffs are put together, but hey, being in the conversation is important to get those bonus points. We'll let you go here in a moment, but first, we're handing over the mic to you for thank you, sponsors, and shout-outs.
First off, I'd like to give a shout-out to everybody with colored wheels that match their car. I know that was a topic of discussion last week.
It was.
I was actually looking at that tonight, seeing how many drivers were out there. So thanks for that. That was something I had to focus on that probably wasn't race related, but
No,
it was,
we're here to help, give you an added distraction.
And thanks to you guys. Good to see Kyle up here in the booth. Michael, of course, you, Seth. To Rodney, congratulations on his admin duties now here on Thursday, you know, stepping up and getting some respect that he deserves. And of course, Tim and Josh, Bones and Prime, the owners, my XFM teammates, everybody that comes out here and supports the league every week. Still doing knockout qualifying 4 weeks in. That's insane. Just the level of talent here. And everybody keeps coming back because we're putting on a dang good show. So thanks for bringing that to everybody, and that's all I got. Thanks.
No arguments up here in the booth on putting on a show. Absolutely. Jeremy Jeffries, your 2nd place finisher here tonight. He'll look to keep this consistency up next week at Talladega, maybe get that 1 position better and put this number 1 in P1 in victory lane.
I hope so. Thanks, guys.
Let's see if we can now go down to victory lane and dial up Mr. Factoids himself, Bob Dixon.
I did run past my pit one time, and it didn't hurt me, though.
Giving away secrets, I guess. Bob Dixon, Michael Kyle, set up here in the FRM booth. You got us?
Yeah, man. I'm here.
All right, so I want to get this out of the way first because since we started broadcasting this series here on FRN, this is the first time we've seen you go to victory lane in the Talladega Challenge Series. Is this your first career win in this series?
Not not career. I've won all kind of races in my earlier days, but with RTG, this is my actual first Talladega win.
That's what I was wondering. So congratulations on that. But let's talk about how you got there, because man, we know that you're one of the drivers usually that kind of sets the tone on when we're going to see those green flag pit stops. You're usually on pit road a lap or two earlier than most of the field. You made that call here. Came down pit road. It absolutely did. You got the caution when you needed it. Were able to cycle to the front and were able to hang on. How nervous were you on that restart?
Shaking like a long-tailed polecat in a room full of rocking chairs.
Well, man, I mean, not only your first win in this series, but now, if you stay in the top 20 in points, you're going playoff racing as well, winning your way into the playoffs. There has to be a huge range of emotions that go on there, coming to that caution flag during those pacing laps and everything, taking all of that in. Take us inside the mind of the driver. What was going on with you there during the course of that point before you came around to officially take the checkers?
Well, there was a couple of things that I was working really hard on, but let me tell you, once I crossed the start-finish line and did my burnout, Dee, my wife, came in here and she looked at the results there. She says, "You won." I said, "Yeah, I did." But I'll tell you, when I saw that I was back on the pole position there with 8 laps to go, Schilling was behind me. And for 8 laps to go, so that would be, we had 2 laps. For 6 laps, he punted my bumper right in the perfect places, and I stayed ahead of Greg Hagley. Or the second lane, the high lane, would have probably passed me and got it. But on that last lap, Brian really surprised me because he tried to go under me on the apron line. And I thought, whoa, we just worked a little bit hard here. I ain't going to get this stolen from me. So I moved back down, and when I did, our bumpers touched, and he wiggled a little bit. And then he did it again, and that time it kind of took him off the track, and he got right back on. But, my answer to anybody on that is, hey, wouldn't you have done the same thing if the whole race was on the line for you? And, somebody else I said that to said, oh, yeah. You didn't wreck him or anything, but that was thrilling. I shook here for 10 minutes.
It was thrilling for us. I can tell you, the 3 of us up here in those final couple of laps, I think we turned more into crew chiefs than we did into commentators.
Oh yeah, we were telling, stay down low, Bob, stay down low.
Crew chiefs and spotters.
But to that point, I mean, the middle line was getting momentum there alongside. You talked about Craig leading that line door to door with him. There were a couple of opportunities. You were clear of the middle. Was there ever a point where you were kind of considering maybe I should go up there, or were you fully committed to just running it right down that yellow line?
Yes. I told my best buddy Bernie, I said, look, they give me a chance to go up on the second lane, I'm taking it. If they don't, I'm staying on the bottom lane and fighting it out. And I almost went up there, and I saw they were coming a little bit too hot, so I backed out and came back down. And, Brian wasn't close to me to cause any threat or anything, but I'll tell you what, his bump drafts were just excellent. I'm pretty sure that's what won.
Well, it is always so cool to see when a driver gets their first win in a series, and congratulations on getting yours here tonight. You move up into the top 10 in points. You're going to be going playoff racing a little bit later on here as well. I mean, we'll give you the opportunity to be able to just soak all of this in. We'll turn the mic over to you for victory lane. Thank you, sponsors, and shout-outs.
All right, well, there was something I was going to say. You blew my mind. I forgot it already. It was really good to see that colorful 143 in the winner's circle. Bernie Mobbs is my paint man, and the paint scheme on it just looks really great. And I was just happy that my car was there.
I've got one more question for you.
Go for it.
If you don't mind. Do we
Okay,
have any factoids for this race?
Yes, I already said them. Y'all want to hear them?
Go for it.
Absolutely, go ahead.
Okay. Got them right here. All right, your factoids for tonight's race. Top 5 fastest laps. An honorable mention was Kelly Causey. 5th place was Denny Carroll. Denny did a 47.167 second lap. That's 203.024 mile per hour. Lap 24. You might know that the top 14 places in the fastest laps was all on lap 24. Now, what went there? 4th was Greg Lavelle. Greg did a 47.151 second lap. That's 203.093 mile per hour. 3rd was Glenn Harris. Glenn did a 47.103 second lap. That's 203.300 mile per hour. 2nd was Bob Seminara. Bob did a 47.068 second lap. That's 203.451 mile per hour. And the fastest lap tonight was Bernie Mobbs. The 31 did a 47.067 second lap. That's 203.455 mile per hour, all on lap 24.
Whew.
Most laps led tonight was Grant Wesley at 18, Ulysses Sandoval at 13, Brian Schilling at 13, Bob Dixon, congrats on your win, kid, did 8. Craig Haley did 5, Jeremy Jeffries 5, Cy Jones 1, Kelly Causey 1, Jason Scheck 1, and Billy Elliser 1. And that's your factoids for tonight's race.
That's
by a very happy guy.
That's just the cherry on top. Not only getting to see you get your first win of the series, we get the factoids here tonight as well. Bob, congratulations on the job well done. Go and enjoy this one. We look forward to seeing what you do here for the remainder of this season. Maybe we see you back in victory lane again, and we'll be seeing you in that playoff battle as well. Congratulations, man.
All right. Thanks so much. I appreciate it. Thank you, Kyle. Thank you, Michael. Seth, if you're still there. Oh, there you are. I saw your name up there. I thought, wait a minute, that's Seth talking. Anyway, thanks so much. It was a thriller. I'll see y'all next time.
Absolutely. That's Bob Dixon, your winner here tonight. His first win in the Rolling Thunder Gaming Talladega Challenge Series. Well, Kyle, we told you tonight was going to be a racy one based off what we saw 2 weeks ago. You picked a heck of a time to make your FRN booth debut. You get to see a first-time winner this evening.
Absolutely. Boy, just a really fun, entertaining race to watch overall. You know, it was, like we mentioned, it was fairly calm early on, but all it takes is one late race caution to flip the entire race upside down, and that's exactly what happened.
This win here, Michael, as well, kind of flips the playoff standings upside down a bit. Dixon obviously now locking his way in through a victory. You know, we saw pit road was really the detriment of the two drivers that had previously won in Tim Nofsker and Grant Wesley, but could this be setting a tone now for maybe some other drivers that we may not necessarily consider winning their way into the playoffs, more likely pointing their way in through consistency, seeing what Bob Dixon was able to do here tonight, maybe changing up some pit strategy, hoping that the cautions or situations will fall into their favor, and they can also win their way into a playoff berth.
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, again, with the way Talladega and Burnt Screwdriver Speedway are, you never know what's going to happen. You know, as you can see, stuff happens, and when things line up the right and correct way, it could be your day, or it could not be. You never know what's going to happen.
It's interesting. This racetrack, again, when we first started broadcasting, we were at Talladega every single week. Then Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway was added on the schedule. We alternated. This track has brought about some pretty special memories. I remember back Doug Hewlick picked up his first career win, and it was, again, the timing on pit road and a caution flying for him to be able to win. It's been a while since we've ended up having a driver get their first win. You got to go back a few seasons when Brian Rawson got his first career win, so pretty cool to be able to see a story like that formulate here in season 64. We appreciate everybody that tuned into our coverage here tonight. This one was a great one. I can't wait to see in, it will be 3 weeks' time when we come back here to Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway what will be in store. This has been some of the raciest events we have seen, I think, in quite a while between both BSR and Talladega Superspeedway. But cannot wait to see what happens next week when we head to Talladega for race number 5. Kyle, again, a privilege to have you up here in the booth here tonight. Maybe we'll have you here in the upcoming weeks as well down this season for the Talladega Challenge Series. And hope your experience was a good one here for your first time.
Oh, it totally was. Had a lot of fun doing this. I want to do this a lot more. So anytime you guys want me up here with you, you know I'm down for it.
Sounds good. Well, again, thank you everybody tuning into our coverage here this evening. Next week, we're going to have ourselves a doubleheader in broadcast for you. Wednesday night, it is the Esports Oval League kicking off their season with their first points-paying race at Daytona. Speed Weeks has been concluded. It's time to make a run for a playoff position. And then Thursday night, back here, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we will be covering race number 5 at Talladega Superspeedway here for the Rolling Thunder Gaming Talladega Challenge Series. Until then, though, for Michael Norman, a debuting Kyle Matthews, I'm Seth Cole. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday night. You've been watching another broadcast courtesy of FRN, the Flatout Racing Network.
This broadcast is the copyrighted work of Flatout Racing Network and may not be rebroadcast, retranslated, or used in any form without the express written consent of Flatout Racing Network and iRacing.com Motorsports Simulations. Flatout Racing Network would like to thank you for your support, and we hope you enjoyed tonight's broadcast.